Former congressman and presidential candidate John Delaney is not doing very well. So recently, it's been reported that he put about $24 million of his own cash into his doomed presidential run. So why is that important? Well, what's important is what he got from it. So what did he get for all that money? A grand total of 11 people coming out to see him at a recent campaign event in Iowa. And it's not just 11 people. At other events, there was 12 people, 15 people at max. Wow. So The Guardian puts it this way. Delaney is a part of a group of white middle-aged men, well, I'm one of those, who are forging ahead with their increasingly chaotic presidential campaigns in spite of a collective lack of support. Fun. So you look at Delaney, Hickenlooper, Swalwell, and all the others, and you literally can't tell them apart. I can't tell them apart. Being a white, middle-aged man, I can't tell them apart. That's bad. So now you can't tell them apart on policy either, right? They're all centrist, milquetoast candidates. They have no bold policy positions. They don't really do a whole lot, okay? So that's why they poll between 0 and 1%, respectively. And in Iowa, Delaney is polling about 1%, despite all of his work. And that's not for lack of trying. Now, according to The Guardian, he's made 34 separate visits to the state in 2 years. He's been running since 2017. Now, this most recent trip was the first of 3 in August, and he's held quite a few events. In fact, on Thursday alone, Delaney was scheduled to hold 5 different events in the space of about 9.5 hours. So that, of course, those events are all filled with about the tens of people that have come to hear his specific pitch, right? So now his pitch, and I'm going to read this, is that the 2 most important questions in 2020, he said, are who can beat Trump? Well, just about everybody. And who is the best leader for this country at this moment in time? He said, I believe I'm the right answer to those questions. Wrong. He's polling at 1%. And the reason is, of course, he's too busy telling people what they can't actually get and promises little to no actual change. Let me give you an example here. So at the Rustic Brew in Hampton, right, Delaney held an event. It was in a really small room, tiny room, with a painting of a reindeer on one wall. Now, when he was doing this event, with about, again, 10 people or so, Delaney was almost immediately interrupted by a man wearing a Vietnam cap. Now, the man complained about the veterans' hospitals. Now, look, we got a problem with veterans' hospitals, of course. Delaney said, oh, don't worry. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to allow veterans to visit a wider range of hospital. Instead of fixing the VA, we're just going to do the Republican plan of letting you go to different hospitals for care. Now, what was the man's response? He said, that's the plan I'm opposed to. Oops. So now what he's doing in a broader sense is basically he's running on, I can beat Trump. I can beat Trump. Well, yeah, again, the top 4 Democrats in some of the most recent polls, and I gave you the most recent poll yesterday, where you had the top 4 Democrats, Biden, Warren, Sanders, and Harris, all beating Donald Trump by a fairly comfortable margin. In fact, you had Biden at 50 to Trump's 38, Sanders at 49 to Trump's 39, and then Warren, I think, was 46 to Trump's 39, and then you had Harris at 45-39. So fairly comfortable margins, especially for the top 2, Sanders and Biden, which I don't understand why Biden is that high, but I don't know, man. Maybe something to do with Obama. I'm not sure. So, yes, those Democrats will absolutely crush Donald Trump as long as he continues to stay as unpopular as he is. Now, Delaney Again, Delaney making that argument does not actually help you when you look at that context. What you need is a vision. Delaney has no vision. He basically has milk toast vision. I'm going to barely tweak some legislation. I'm going to tweak Obamacare and try to do something. Wow, you're really inspiring a lot of confidence. I mean, barely any change, right? Now, he also says, look, I'm the only one that can pass legislation because I can reach across the aisle. You ain't reaching across the aisle to Republicans. Why? Because Republicans, if you guys even can look back just a few years before Donald Trump, right? Near the end of Obama's, his administration. Remember the words Merrick Garland. Merrick Garland was a Supreme Court pick that was blocked by Mitch McConnell for over a year. It's not because Merrick Garland was some crazy leftist. No, he was, by all accounts, a very centrist, pro-corporate judge. Not good enough for Mitch McConnell. Not good enough. Not good enough for Republicans. So that's what we're facing right now. Obstinate Republicans who, unless you go 100% their way, will not deal with you. Mitch McConnell calls himself the Grim Reaper. Are you seriously? And Delaney thinks, no, I can work with that guy. Grim Reaper, I want to work with him. You know what's not selling me? Your ability to work with Mitch McConnell. I don't want you working with Mitch McConnell. Why? Because Mitch McConnell has terrible ideas and is a terrible person. Anything that Mitch McConnell is going to be in favor of enthusiastically is not something that is generally going to help the American people. It's going to help him. It's going to help his donors. So, and look, again, Republicans don't believe in government. They want to drown it in a bathtub. So Delaney is laboring under a false notion that there are Republicans out there that are willing to compromise to get big programs passed. Not at all true. They can't. They won't. In fact, during the Obama administration, we have seen Republicans tank their own bills in order to own the libs. That's what's going on. That's why you have to crush them at the polls. Not literally, right? But you beat them at the ballot box. You get more votes. And how do you do that? You have an exciting ticket at the top. People turn out. They vote for the presidential ticket. And then, very likely, they vote down ticket as well. But you got to get them out to the polls. You're not getting people out for Delaney at all. Again, Delaney, very unexciting, very milquetoast, very centrist, and ironically, very proud of it. In fact, he told The Guardian that if he could change one thing about his campaign, he would actually have plugged his centrist credentials earlier. He said, the kind of sharp contrasts I'm making now, and he's referring to his fight with Bernie Sanders, I would have made them earlier. And you know what? You would still be at 0.3% nationally. That's his aggregate polling. It's pretty clear that no one is interested in your vision. At least, you have the top three, right? Of the top three Democrats, the top three candidates in this primary, two of them would actually introduce quite a bit of change over the system. And one of them, of course, is Biden, who, again, people love him because he was Obama's VP, but that's about it. But even Biden says, I'll introduce a little bit more change than John Delaney. Oh, well done. Thank you. I appreciate that. No. Delaney, he needs to get a clue and drop out already. Hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed that free video. Now I'm going to have to ask you a favor. Between the demonetization and the YouTube algorithm messing around with view counts, etc., we're having a hard time adjusting to the new YouTube reality, which is where you guys come in. See, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/TYTNation, set up to help us rely on you guys, the viewers, instead of big corporate ads. Look, you know the show. You know I'm not in favor of big corporations anyway. So help us transition away from relying on the ad model to pay the bills and sign up to be a patron, patreon.com/TYTNation. That goes a long way to help us keep the lights on. and you guys will know that you're supporting independent progressive media.